Hey everybody, just waiting for people to join this live stream. We are going to test the ability to split screen someone in, and we'll have some, if all works well, some surprise guests over the course of this week. Really not surprise guests, but just good guests, good people that you're going to want to hear from. And given the fact that we are all having to physically distance from one another, I want to make sure that we still have a chance to hang out, at least virtually. So bear with me. This is just kind of a test run, and it may not be super interesting. So yeah, somebody said the anxiety caused by this virus is crazy. I am totally agreeing with you. Well, shit, I can't figure out how to do this. So what I'm trying to do is split screen in Kano, who's at her house in West El Paso right now. And we want to test this so that we make sure that it works before we ask other people to join us on this. So bear with me right now. But while I'm trying to figure this out, let me just say to everyone out there, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you are safe, that you're healthy, that you're well. I hope that you're staying the fuck away from everybody else, not in your immediate family or in your household. And I mean that with all sincerity and kindness and love, but stay away from one another, please. It is the most important, the most helpful thing that you can do. And for everyone who's already doing that, let me say thank you. I think what makes it so hard about doing the right thing right now for so many is that the benefits of this are not immediately apparent or obvious. So in other words, when you do the right thing, nothing happens. People aren't getting sick, hospitals aren't overwhelmed, your community's not in crisis. So you don't get an immediate positive reinforcement for doing the right thing. And so let me just add my thanks to you and others for doing the right thing, and then also for carrying the message and spreading it far and wide and making sure that everyone in our life is doing the right thing and staying away from everyone outside of their immediate household. So no going out, no going to bars or restaurants. I think they're all closed in Texas anyhow. Some have defied the law to stay open. Really dumb. Report them if you see them. Not to be punitive or mean, but because they're endangering the public health. And someone who's at one of those gatherings or congregations could very well spread coronavirus, become a super spreader, and end up compromising the health of somebody who is in one of these categories, which makes it very dangerous to be exposed. So older people or those with underlying conditions, we all have them in our lives. I have them in mine, and I want to make sure that they're okay. And in order to do that, it is on all of us to do the right thing. Also, big thanks to the public officials, those in positions of public trust who are stepping up to do the right thing. I think of, in Texas, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, who just announced this weekend a shelter in place starting, I believe, this evening at midnight, lasting for, I'm actually not sure how long, but that's the right thing to do. Painful and inconvenient in the short term, absolutely necessary in the long term to prevent the spread of coronavirus. So thank you, Judge Jenkins in Dallas. Thank you to Governor Cuomo in New York, who's stepped up and showed, I thought, extraordinary leadership so far. Thanks to those who are advocating forcefully, fiercely for the right public health measures. I think of Andy Slavitt, who's been really eloquent on this stuff on TV, on Twitter, and all of you who are doing the right thing. Okay, now I'm going to give this another shot. So for those of you who know what the hell you're doing with Facebook, I am clicking on Cynthia Fuentes Cano. It says that she's watching. I click on her and I get a blank your viewers screen. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. Cynthia, make another comment here. In the meantime, is it Shanna or Shana who says, my daughter works in a drugstore. People like her are on the front lines. Hell yes. thanks to your daughter, thanks to my sister who is a nurse in the ER at Providence Hospital here in El Paso, thanks to those in the supermarket who are stocking the shelves, working the registers, not getting paid a hell of a lot of money to put their lives at risk so that all of us can feed ourselves. Thanks to all those small business owners who are going through hell right now as their businesses, including restaurants and bars, have had to close temporarily. Some will end up closing permanently. Thanks to all their employees who are really struggling right now to make ends meet. A reminder that any public policy that comes out of this intended to ease the suffering of others should focus on those on the front lines, like your daughter in the drugstore, like those now unemployed restaurant and bar and entertainment industry employees, those who are hourly wage earners. They should be first in line to get the resources they need and should be made whole. So thanks to everyone doing the right thing, and thanks for reminding us of that. All right, Miss Kano, looking for you. Skylar says, yep, shout out to all the nurses and grocery store folks. Cindy in Georgia says it's scary there. I think it's kind of scary everywhere, but we need to keep our spirits up. We need to continue to be as kind and as good to each other, to ourselves, to one another, to our families. Check in on those older neighbors, those older family members. See if you cannot pick up groceries for them. Here in El Paso, Albertsons, I believe, is reserving Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for elderly El Pasoans so that they're not, compromised or exposed to others and can safely go about their grocery shopping. But even better if you can reach out and help someone by getting groceries for them. Okay, Cynthia, I see you, and I'm pressing on. Dang it, we're going to have to get Ulysses to show us how to do this. The hard thing is I don't know how to test this without doing it live. Dottie, thank you for the love. Mo, thank you. Nancy, everyone, thank you all. And by the way, the spirit that we're all showing right now, even at a distance, even on a Facebook live stream, is the kind of medicine that we need right now in this country. Please continue to be positive, to be kind, to be good to one another. It doesn't mean that you need to relent in the pressure that you apply to those who are in positions of public trust who have failed us thus far. No excuse for not having testing in this country, which really means that we have absolutely no idea of how bad this is yet. I'm hearing story after story from those who've been sent home from hospitals. They have the symptoms. They probably have COVID-19, but they don't know for sure, and we don't know for sure because we don't have the tests, which means it's that much harder to control the spread of coronavirus. Likewise, impossible to defend the lack of preparation around personal protective equipment, or PPE. These are the gloves, the masks, the visors, the gowns that our healthcare workers need, one, to protect themselves and their families, but also to prevent them from spreading COVID-19 to their patients and those in their care. So we absolutely need to hold those in elected positions responsible and accountable, and let's do that. And let's also make sure that we shape public policy by keeping that pressure up, including this massive stimulus bill coming forward. But let's make sure that we think about the words that we use, the way that we treat one another, and do so with as much kindness and love as we possibly can. Somebody just, Susie says, be positive, be kind, stay home, stay safe. I love that. That's got to be the mantra for this moment. Okay, let me see. Cynthia. She says, Cynthia's texting me, looks like he has to do it before the video starts and send you an invitation to join him. Well, Cynthia, what do you think? Should we end this live stream, start another one? I know you all probably want to see Cynthia more than you want to see me anyhow. So if you'll bear with us. But I got to tell you, I'm engrossed in all these comments. Rachel says, elbow bump from Baltimore. Rachel, elbow bump back to you. Goldo. Somebody says, Amber says that her dog is into the live stream. Amber, that's good to know. What's your dog's name? And we'll call out to your dog. So Michelle, this is some feedback for Judge Jenkins. Michelle is saying Judge Jenkins in Dallas County, who just mandated a shelter in place beginning tonight, midnight tonight, says Judge Jenkins needs to make his order more clear. It is very confusing. I just read through that order on Judge Jenkins' Twitter feed. If you haven't done that, please do that. But if you are still confused, respond to Judge Jenkins on Twitter. He seems to be very responsive and he's following the comments there. So thank you for sharing that. And I think that's some feedback that the judge needs to hear. Judge Jenkins, if you're listening to that, please respond to Michelle Welch. There's my tocayo, Robert. Good to see you, tocayo. Yeah, Russell's talking about this tough balance that we have to strike. How do we stay positive? How do we not let the divisions, including partisan divisions, get in the way of a true national priority, which is addressing this crisis with the urgency that it needs and that we all deserve? But then how do we also keep the pressure up? I think time for judgment and accountability probably is after we get this straight. But this is definitely the time for pressure on our elected officials to do the right thing. And in many cases, and we should highlight the positives, they seem to be responding to that. I mentioned Judge Jenkins in Dallas County. We're also seeing other major Texas metro areas begin to do the right thing with these shelter-in-place orders. So thanks. Nikki says, shout out to service industry people. Absolutely. I second that emotion. Molly says, you may be infected and not yet show symptoms and go out and spread the virus, so everyone stay home. Wiser words were never written on a Facebook live stream comment section. Please stay home. Only leave your house if it's absolutely necessary. Now, in my opinion, that does not include going for a walk or a run or a hike in the Franklin Mountains if you live in El Paso. If you're able to do that and you're able to maintain a distance from anyone else, and I've been running the mountain trails every morning and I've not seen another soul up there, then by all means do that. Get your exercise, enjoy the weather. It's springtime in El Paso. It's absolutely beautiful. But do not go out and congregate or be around anybody. Don't go over to your friend's house and have a beer, even if you guys are 6 feet apart. Just don't do it. Don't risk it. As Molly says, you may inadvertently, unwittingly infect others. Okay. Liz is asking if anyone is from New Orleans. She hears it is rough there. Terry says she's home cleaning and cooking. We've been doing a lot of, actually, if I can get Cynthia on, I'm going to tell her about the first day of the O'Rourke Homeschool for the Gifted. We just finished our first school day, which was amazing, primarily because of Amy. And so I'll happily share that in a second. Gwen writes in and says, encourage people not to panic, even if we shelter in place. Yeah, keep your cool, be calm, be good to one another. I mean, checking in this way helps me keep some sanity to see all of you out there. There's a lot of love for everyone out there. I see people posting about situations that they're in and other people responding with kindness and empathy. That's wonderful. Terry reminds us, please have beer and wine at home at all times. That is also very important. I think under shelter-in-place rules, you do not have to wait until 5 o'clock to have that first drink. Cynthia reminds me, she's texting and saying, check in on elders and loved ones. Again, let's reemphasize that. Really, really important. I remember knocking on doors in Texas. Cynthia, you can remind me of the city we were in. And we met a woman who is dependent on the Meals on Wheels program. And she told us that the person who shows up at her door with a box of food, which provides the nutrition and calories that she needs to physically survive, is also the only human being that she will see over the course of the day. And something she told us is, she said that person, as they leave the box on her kitchen counter, puts their hand on her shoulder to check in, say, ma'am, are you doing okay? Anything else that I can get you? And she says that is the only human contact that she has over the course of the day. So imagine that woman now, who may not have any human contact, who may be living alone. If you know someone like that in your neighborhood, in your life, give them a call. Check on them, see if they're okay. If they don't have a telephone, I would take the chance and go knock on their door and keep a safe distance of more than 6 feet, but ask them at their doorstep how they're doing and if there's anything that you can get for them. That little bit of kindness and personal attention will go a long way for their sanity and for their health and for their well-being. Last night, Amy's grandmother, who is fairly old, was FaceTiming us. It was the first time she's ever FaceTimed, or that I've seen her FaceTime. And when she was talking to our kids, her great-grandkids, her face absolutely lit up. And so she, like all of us, has been confined at home and unable to see or be with others. That seemed to be a really important moment. So FaceTiming is also super helpful, and live streams like this. So look, sorry, I keep getting distracted by these great comments. Wendy in New York says, I can't decide when it's time to switch from my morning PJs to my evening PJs. Not fun being on lockdown. I actually, shaved today because I was the history teacher in our, homeschool today. And we started with Native American history, which I decided to start in Africa 200,000 years ago and talk about the outmigration, the, battles potentially with the Neanderthals, 50,000 years ago, making it to the east coast of Asia, getting up to the Bering land bridge that existed at the time because all of the water was locked up in the ice before it melted 20,000 years ago, and then the migration down to the bottom of the Western Hemisphere in Patagonia, which took about 10,000 years. That's as far as I got in my history lesson, but we had a lot of great tangential conversations and questions. Our kids are in 7th, 6th, and 3rd grade, so it was really interesting, really fun. So I shaved, I showered, I kind of brushed my hair, I put on a collared shirt. I tried to command some respect from my kids, which was marginally successful. Okay, let me do this before I read another comment and get distracted because these comments are so great. I'm going to sign off and see if we can make it work with Cynthia. If you want to see how Cynthia is doing, please check back in on the live stream. If you had enough of us, that's good too. Cynthia's reminding me that this is in Wichita Falls, and she just sent me a picture of the woman that we met in Wichita Falls who relied on that Meals on Wheels program. Good job, Cynthia. And just a great reminder, many of you are volunteering, which I love, at food banks, which need the volunteers to prepare the boxes to send out to the elderly and others who are unable to go to senior centers right now to get their nutrition and calories. Others are unable to leave the home. If you have the financial means to do so, contribute to your local food bank. Ours is called El Pasoans Fighting Hunger, and Amy and I have made a contribution, and we've also volunteered there, and we'll be volunteering there again. If you also want to support another great program, Meals on Wheels, again, is this amazing program that connects with some of the most vulnerable in our communities. That's another great suggestion. So I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to ask Cynthia to help me figure this out. I'm going to join with her so that we can test this. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a special guest that we're going to split screen with, if we can figure this out, who's here in El Paso. And I'm going to continue to bring in other people. If you have ideas of someone you want to hear from or you want me to be able to listen to with you as an audience, and you can ask questions of that person, let me know. I've got some ideas and some people that I've sent out some feelers to. Let me know if you have some ideas and any suggestions to improve the broadcast, from the decor in this studio, to the kind of people we have on, to the length, to the background music. Open to your suggestions and ideas. All right, signing off for just a second. Hopefully back on with Cynthia. Adios.